Hello and welcome everybody to your Virgo August 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who are stopping by for the first time. And as the subscribers know, there are no advertisements during this content, so you get the chance to enjoy the experience uninterrupted. Now, speaking of experience, I've had the great pleasure of doing some one-on-one personal clairvoyant readings for a number of your Virgo sisters and brothers over the course of the last month. And if you might be interested in doing it or just want to find out about it, just have a look at the information that's in the description box below. You know how it is. Now we're going to take 5 cards and see what there is in store for you. Enjoying summer in the Northern Hemisphere? Everybody in the United States and Canada, the 4 of Wands, Mexico, Europe. Hi to everybody in the Philippines, hi to everybody in India and Pakistan as well as Singapore and Indonesia and Malaysia. And of course those in the Southern Hemisphere, including, there's the 2 of Wands, the 4 of Wands and the 2 of Wands. In the Southern Hemisphere, including South Africa, Australia and New Zealand, well, it's winter, isn't it? So everybody getting rugged up to stave off the cold, except those in the tropical climates of Australia, of course, up there in the far north Queensland, Northern Territory, and far north of Western Australia. There's 14, Temperance. Anyway, great to see everybody. If I've missed out anybody, I'll get you another time. There's the Master of Discs. And finally, what's this one here for you? There is number 9, the crone. Wonder what that might mean. Well, we'll have a look in just a second, shall we? So why don't you come now, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together. Well, I do the reading for you. There now, I think you can see those. Where should we start? I think on this top horizontal line is where we will go. Let's have a look and see what there is here, shall we? And this says healing sexual energy. Oh. Well, we're all grown-ups here, aren't we? Let's see what there is. The 2 of Wands. Now, here, I think Wands, of course, is fire. And I think that the fire energy is expressed through the 2nd chakra, which is sometimes referred to as the sexual chakra. Now, it's here that the basic life force takes sexual expression. Now, it is important to remember that sexual contact with a lover is just one way of expressing this energy. If you don't understand this, you may repress your sexual energy when you don't have a partner. This cutting off of your life force and sexual experience, well, it's unfortunate and it's an unnecessary loss. Why dry up because one avenue is closed, so to speak? Now, we can experience our sensual and even your sexual nature in the way that you move, dance, talk, touch, fantasize about things, and relate to the world around you. Now, many people feel an erotic quality in their experience of nature, so I understand. Now, this same energy can also be used for, well, what I call shamanic journeying, as is seen in this image here. Here we really do have the shaman descending down. And it is an expansive, liberating energy that spirals outward and inward, an important energy to come to know. Now, there are very few people on this planet who don't experience some binding of their sexuality or some sexual wounding. This wounding is stored in both the body and the psyche, which of course are not separate, I suppose. They can therefore be triggered in various ways, can't it? The challenge is to learn how to work through any pain that you have without getting lost in it or making an identity out of previous rejection or previous victimization. You must eventually leave the pain, sometimes what I call the pain body, and come back to the real body, your actual body, with its capacities of healing, pleasure, and presence. Now you've drawn this card. The second chakra, fire energy, therefore, is looking for expression. Your job is to discern what is needed. It's your task to open to it more, allowing new avenues of expression. Is it to experience this energy more deeply without the veils that have often blocked your awareness of it? Is the task to be more skillful in how you are expressing this energy, more aware of its impact on others? Well, perhaps your task is to contain it during those times when you feel out of control. What is the direction of healing for you? Now, if there are traumas and feelings that are complicating your sexuality, then find appropriate support for working through these. Because becoming truly free in your sexuality can take a lot of work, but the rewards are plentiful and they will ripple through your life. Let's stay in the same suit, shall we? And go to the Four of Wands. And this is interesting. What does this say, incidentally? Opening the heart. What might that mean? Let's have a look in just a second. Now, let's see here. What do we have? Opening the heart. Well, it's the fire is going up the chakras. Here we are at the fourth chakra, I think, and that's often referred to as the heart chakra. Now, the heart chakra, along with the fifth or throat chakra, is one of the bridges between the three lower centers, which relate more to the personal self, and we were discussing one of them when we looked at this Two of Wands there. It's the bridge between those more personal ones and the higher chakras, which relate to vibratory energies that come from other realms. Now, in this image, I think some of these higher energies spiral down to assist with this opening. Here we have Pan, the god of nature. He's present, along with the Indian audience would be familiar with this, a Devic being. A Deva is a being of light. Actually, it's a center of consciousness, but it is in the spiritual realms, but is depicted as a being of light, almost like an angel in the sense of the Western tradition. Now, and that Deva in particular, is not a diva, but a deva. You probably know a few divas. You may not have encountered a deva, but there is one. Now, this Devic being is a representation of the higher self and also of various spirit guides. Now, in the Eastern traditions, the chakras are often depicted as lotuses, and here we see this inpouring, which is coming down here into what is called the jewel in the heart of the lotus, which is the innermost core. Now, there are many reasons the heart center may be shielded or closed. Some of these relate to disappointments, betrayals, and losses. These are psychological wounds that often need to be worked through before you feel it is safe to be vulnerable and undefended. Feelings of unworthiness and shame also close the heart, along with anything that creates a sense of aloneness. But you must remember that you are not alone, and aloneness is only a feeling constructed in the psyche from various memories and images. More specifically, I think this card is representing, the energy is saying that you are now receiving spiritual help to open your heart. Well, where shall we go next? Why don't we... Let's go underneath here. We'll leave these major arcana until the end. Let's have a look at this, which is gracious abundance. We shall see. Now, let's have a look at you, Master of Discs, gracious abundance. What can I obtain from this painting here? Well, I think that this Master of Discs represents success for you in the various aspects of material life during this period. Now, the Master here, which can be a he or a she, has gone through other things in life, integrating the lessons, and now you experience a gracious abundance. Gone is the sense of poverty and frustration, replaced now by a sense of ease and gratitude. Now, in the card, there are a number of animals. Do you see them down here? They appear in the foreground, and the woman feels at home with these animal energies, as well as at home in the larger universe. Being master of the material plane doesn't mean she has become a materialist. Quite the contrary. She uses her material base, and I suppose we can look at this image of the planet Earth here, which is contained within her belly. She uses her material base to ground her connection with the heavens, just as the woman's garb flows into the larger spiral in the image. The gracious abundance of the Master is part of his or her offering to the world. The Master's abundance is not securely tied or cordoned off, but it is shared with others, whether through charitable giving or simply sharing the beauty of home, family, or personal being. Do you know, although we often equate abundance with wealth, this is a misunderstanding. There are many who are wealthy, but are not free and not at ease. Abundance means that there is a match between what you need to support your unfoldment and the material conditions provided. There is neither too much nor too little. This is just like a house plant having a pot that is just the right size. And you will escape both the frustration of being pinched and the burden of having too much, which can often drown you, like the plant. It also means being free of a constricting, binding attachment to particular things. The Master can now direct her or his energy in any number of ways. Do you see, mastery in this realm is less about acquisition and security than it is about enjoyment. This is the truer wealth for you at this time, to enjoy and feel nourished by the physical objects and conditions that constitute your environment and your daily life. Being able to appreciate beauty is part of this. See, when you don't take in the beauty of your world, you then really do have a sense of poverty. But because this card has come up, it suggests that you are drawn now to a more gracious flow in the material aspects of life. Relax and open to it. It will come more easily when you feel in harmony with the world around you than when you nervously fret about it. Remember, the universe is gracious and it wants you to succeed and it wants to give to you. Let's have a look now at these major arcana that we just spoke about. I think we'll do... It's a very integrative month for you. We'll get to that in a... Well, there's integrating the polarities. This, though, is the light of introspection. What can I say about that? There's actually a very interesting painting to go along with that. Now, this is called the crone. Now, in this painting, the crone, and you can see her here, there's her face and there's the outline of her. She is absorbed in an inward state. There is a look of serenity on her face. Now, she doesn't have any need to call attention to herself or advertise her wisdom. Content with the inner wealth that she has discovered, she is also happy to share it with those who are interested. Now, this scene takes place under a night sky. When ordinary consciousness is dimmed, we're more easily open to other ways of knowing. Now, I'm looking at here in the middle of here, you can see here is the moon going up in different phases. The moon is a symbol of feminine consciousness and intuition. It is present here and talking to you during this period through its various cycles. Now, this card, as you probably gather by the major arcana number of 9, traditionally has been depicted as a hermit carrying a lantern. It represents one who has gone their own way and discovered spiritual wisdom. Now, here we don't have the solitary male figure that we normally see, but we have the image of the crone. The 2 young women in the foreground, can you see them there, just to make sure of it? These 2 young women in the foreground here, they are doing a ritual to honor her. And this is a reminder that others can participate with you in your journey. Certainly, I think a large part of the crone's wisdom comes from introspection, that is looking inside yourself, and from solitude, that is just from being alone. And yet, these can take place within the ordinary community. You don't need to go off and sit underneath a rock somewhere. But the crone doesn't need to be alone, and she doesn't need to be with others constantly. She moves back and forth in a natural rhythm between solitude and community with others, bringing the wisdom from her inner search to enrich her relationships with others. She becomes of service to others, not by leaving herself behind, but by being herself fully. And you will find the ability to do that during this period. Now, this takes us, I think, finally to this card here, Temperance, which is integrating polarities, apparently. Let's have a look, see what there is here. I must say I do love the artwork on this. Well, this is the energy of integration, the melding of 2 elements into a greater whole. Often what you're integrating is actually parts of the psyche. Now, often when we talk about integration, we mean the integration of 2 parts or 2 energies, so it's appropriate that there are 2 people who are portrayed on this card, taking an action that knits them together. Their feet are on the ground and their arms are lifted to the heavens as they bridge these 2 dimensions, heaven and earth. There is a sense of swirling energy, rather like mixing a cake batter. But what is being mixed here is much, much larger. It is the mixing of heaven and earth. As well as a call for integration in general, this energy is more specifically a call to integrate the spiritual into the material aspects of life. It is a call to bring down the cosmic energy and ground it in daily living. Now, very often when you have opposites or polarities going on in your life, you may think of these as pairs of opposites, for example, masculine and feminine, intuitive and rational, but it is not always so simple. For example, and that's getting back to sexuality, I think again, you might be integrating your sexuality with your spirituality, or your soft and vulnerable side with a more confident aspect. Now, strictly speaking, these are not opposites, but they seem to be functioning in opposition to each other. When you are not integrated, your behavior is often more contradictory and extreme. Haven't you found that? Self-confidence isn't brought down by humility. Shame is not brought down by self-respect. Each fragment is kind of insulated from the others. But this is for you now a time of integration, and it's asking you to look deeply to see what levels this is happening on. Sometimes the integration is far enough along that it can be seen and felt easily. At other times, this energy may indicate that there is a need to resolve a polarity or integrate an aspect that you have kept at bay. You may wish to involve yourself in meditation or something like this, but what is most important is that you make room for and value the parts you have judged and kept separate. There's nothing wrong with having shadows within yourself. I think that this is also a time for you to ground your spiritual realization, focusing on presence and sensation in your body, especially the belly and lower body. That's one way to do this. Keeping some awareness on your body helps counteract a tendency to get lost in thoughts, feelings, or in altered states. Spending time outside, particularly at this time of year, walking on the earth, is also good grounding, especially if you stay awake to your surroundings. Remember, the task is not to get out of body, but to really inhabit the body. Your encounter with your essential spiritual nature by going deep within the body, not by moving away from it. Well, I think that's all we need to say about these cards for you. Great set of cards, very interesting. Good job, you. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, what a fascinating reading. I'm sure you will agree. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed providing it to you. I really look forward to doing your reading each month, you know. I really do. Truly I do. And, you know, I send you some good energy, the subscribers, throughout the month, which you will feel from time to time. So don't worry, I'm always thinking of you. You are never alone. Now, until I see you again, remember one thing, and one thing is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.